Could you not watch with me 1 hour? It's one of the most poignant and painful questions Jesus ever posed. The end was near, betrayal and a cross were at hand. There was no going back, no escaping what was about to take place. And Jesus, in his full humanity, was frightened, and understandably so. In fact, the story says he knelt in prayer and his sweat fell to the ground like great drops of blood. And he cried out to God, "Please, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me." Facing what had to be faced, Jesus needed the presence and support of his nearest and dearest friends. But every time he turned to them, as the Gospels of Mark and Matthew say, he found them sleeping. Sometimes we deny Christ or neighbor or right and goodness and integrity and virtue, not because we're evil, but because we are fatigued. A friend of Martin Luther King's was invited to travel to Memphis for the rally there. He replied to the man who invited him, "I just can't. I've been gone so much. My family and work need me here. Martin knows I love him and support him, but I've just got to take a little time for myself right now. There will be other rallies." But as it turned out, there were no other rallies, no other moments, no other opportunities to be present with and for his friend. The man later said, "Had I been there, I could not have changed what occurred. But when it occurred, Martin would have known that I was with him, loving him till the end." Peter, James, and John could not have changed what occurred. The scene was set, the die was cast. But had they remained alert and aware, Jesus would not have felt so alone facing what he had to face. Now, it's reasonable and right to practice self-care. I often tell people, if you don't look after yourself from time to time, you won't remain strong enough to look after anyone else who needs you. Fatigue is a reality. That's one reason that in the very first chapter of the Bible, the concept of Shabbat is established, a commandment that, having labored, we rest, so that we will be sufficiently strengthened to return to our labors. Most companies require employees to take days off for that very reason. They work best who work refreshed. The key as disciples is knowing when to retreat and when to move ahead. In moments of crisis for a neighbor, it is always our calling to step forward, not to step back. When someone is struggling or suffering and their sweat falls to the ground like great drops of blood, is that not the very time they need us most? And once the crisis is done, then comes the time to tend to our own needs. It's a matter of balance, isn't it? A matter of doing what we can when action is needed, and then of resting and regrouping as we can once that action has been accomplished. Here are a couple of questions to ponder or discuss. First, how do we prioritize the needs that others place upon us? Second, how can we best meet the needs of others in ways that preserve our energy to meet future needs as well? See you next week.